In yesterday's episode, we saw how God was there in the beginning and how everything that he created was good. There was right relationship between God and mankind. There was rest. There was this wonderful connection that they had. And then there was one single question that undermined that. And that question went like this: did God really say? You see, Satan always wants to break apart and destroy God's perfect words. But how do you destroy something that's perfect? You put doubt into the equation. And so the enemy put doubt into the mind of Adam and Eve by asking them this. And all of a sudden, they looked at this tree and the fruit that God said don't touch, and they looked at it differently. And Eve saw that it was pleasing to the eye, and she took it, and she ate of it. Then she gave it to her husband, and he ate of it as well. It's in that moment that sin entered the world. Death entered the world. Sorrow, shame entered the world. How do I know this? Because if you look at chapter 3, verse 7, it says, "Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized that they were naked. So they sewed together fig leaves and made coverings for themselves." Listen, that hadn't happened before. They were fine before. They didn't notice anything. There was absolutely no need for a covering. They were completely fine. And all of a sudden, they wanted to cover themselves. And I don't think it was that they actually needed to cover their skin. They were trying to cover their heart. They're trying to mask and hide this rebellion that I'm sure made them feel really gross inside. And not that it's just about a gross feeling, but you know that feeling when you do something wrong and you can feel that weight. I believe that they were trying to cover themselves. But then we also can see the goodness of God. And God reaches out to them and he says, "Where are you?" The thing is, God doesn't ask a question in order to get information. He knew the answer to the question. He knew where they were, but he asked them so that they would respond. And he comes to them and he actually makes them coverings of animal skins. And here's the thing, animal skins weren't just lying on the ground. An animal had to die. Something had to die. There was shedding of blood. So they had skins, so they were covered. And I know that might seem a little bit morbid or graphic, and I'm not looking to make it weird, but it's a picture, and it shows us that it was so severe, that what they had done was so grave that death was the only thing, shedding of blood was the only thing that was actually going to cover them, that was going to be sustainable. Because fig leaves, they're not going to last. Fig leaves are going to fall apart pretty quickly. I believe they wore those animal skins for a long time, and we actually see that this is a foreshadowing of their redemptive story. See, mankind was about to go through many, many, many hundreds, thousands of years of darkness and carry the weight and consequences of their sin. We still carry it today. But God, in his greatness, pursued us and created a plan and created a way for us to be in right redemption with him. And it starts in that picture, in the promise. Even in the middle of all the curses, we see this promise where he says to them in Genesis 3:15, he's talking to the serpent, but he says, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He will crush your heel, he will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." See, that's a promise, and that's a promise of a Savior that's going to come, that even though there's going to be this bruising and this striking of the heel, there is going to be the crushing of the enemy's head. But the story is going to take longer than just today's episode to carry out. We're going to see the goodness of God over millennia. For right now, we just need to see that God pursued, that God was good, and that God's got this.